We've all been there. I mean, you set a goal, a big, beautiful, life-changing goal, maybe tied to a new year or something.
Right.
You're ready to run that marathon, write that proposal, or finally learn to code. You pour all your energy into it, but within weeks, the momentum is just gone.
And you're right back where you started.
Exactly. You're back to that comfortable baseline you were trying to escape.
It's this cycle of, aspiration followed by frustration, and it is brutally common.
Yeah.
We often assume that this failure is some kind of personal shortcoming, a lack of willpower.
Mm-hmm.
But today's deep dive suggests the opposite. The problem isn't you. The problem is your system.
Exactly. We've pulled together a stack of sources, really centering on the insights of James Clear's Atomic Habits. And this material, it just flips the script entirely.
That does.
It argues that this colossal, life-altering success is not built on massive, revolutionary changes. It's built on tiny, consistent improvements compounded over time.
So our mission in this deep dive is to guide you away from that trap of goal setting and more toward the freedom of systems thinking. We're going to deconstruct the mechanical habit loop,
Right.
explain the critical importance of identity, and show you exactly how to implement the 4 laws of behavior change to make good habits automatic and, well, bad habits almost impossible.
Let's start with a really crucial, almost counterintuitive concept, the subtle power of small changes, which is really demonstrated by some surprising math. Think about the physics of trajectory for a second. If you're flying a plane from New York to Los Angeles, and the pilot makes a tiny, almost imperceptible adjustment.
It's so small you wouldn't even feel it.
Exactly. Let's say a 3-degree shift in the nose. That's a mere 80 inches difference before takeoff.
That tiny shift, maintained over a flight that's thousands of miles long, completely alters the destination. You won't notice the change in the first few hours, but instead of landing in LA, you'd end up closer to Tijuana, Mexico.
And this isn't just a metaphor, right?
No, not at all. It's the reality of how habits work. Those 1% choices we make every day, they radically change our life's destination, even if that change is, totally invisible in the moment.
And here's where the math really makes it concrete. If you manage to be just 1% better at something, anything, every single day for a year, those small gains don't just add up, they multiply.
They compound. You end the year nearly 38 times better than when you started. 37.78 times, to be exact.
Which is incredible. But the reverse is just as powerful and honestly a little terrifying.
It is. If you let yourself be 1% worse every day, you degrade almost entirely. You approach zero. So this compounding effect means success is never an overnight thing. It's the product of daily habits that accumulate like interest in a savings account.
So they can compound against you, like debt, stress, or for you in knowledge, skills, productivity.
Exactly.
But okay, if these small improvements are so powerful, why do we fail so often? I mean, why does the gym membership become a dust collector by February?
That happens because we fundamentally misunderstand the nature of progress. We assume the effort we put in should lead to an immediate proportional result.
A straight line.
A straight line. But in reality, progress is nonlinear. When you first start those 1% changes, you enter what the source material calls the valley of disappointment.
That's such a great label for it, because you've been putting in the work, you're reading a page a day, jogging for 10 minutes, and you see no noticeable change.
Nothing. Your body hasn't transformed, your novel still only has 5 pages. And that period of unrewarded effort is precisely where almost everyone quits.
It's a huge psychological hurdle.
It is. We're wired for immediate gratification. But to reach that exponential power of compounding, you have to cultivate patience and trust the system, even when the results are invisible. The most powerful outcomes are always delayed. It's like planting a seed and demanding a full-grown tree tomorrow.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, who is just tired of New Year's resolutions? It forces a fundamental shift in thinking.
Forget about goals. Focus on systems instead.
Okay, define that. Goal versus system.
The goal is the desired result. Let's say climbing Mount Everest. The system is the process that gets you there. The daily training, the equipment checks, the logistics.
And the problem with relying only on goals is, well, there are a few.
Right. For one, successful and unsuccessful people share the exact same goals.
That's a great point. Simply wanting to be a millionaire doesn't make you one. And goals create a temporary change. Once you run the marathon or hit that sales target, what happens to your motivation?
It often just evaporates because the reason for the behavior is now gone.
And goals create this either conflict, you're either a success or a failure, which can be so demoralizing. You miss your target by just a little, and the goal says you failed, even if you made huge progress.
So to be clear, goals are phenomenal for setting a direction. They give you that initial target. But systems are the only thing that guarantee long-term, sustainable progress.
Before we move into the mechanics of the four laws, we have to talk about the deeper, most effective layer of transformation, which is identity. If you're only focused on the result, you're missing the point.
Absolutely. The source material outlines 3 layers of change. At the surface, you have outcomes. That's the results you get, like losing 20 pounds.
Okay.
Next, you have process what you do, like following a new diet. But the deepest, most powerful layer is identity.
So what you believe about yourself.
Exactly. Your beliefs, your self-image, your worldview. And the most common mistake is focusing exclusively on the outcomes. We want the result, but we haven't changed the person who needs to deliver that result.
The shift needs to be from what you want to achieve to who you wish to become.
Yes. The goal isn't simply to write 1,000 words. The goal is to become a writer. The goal isn't to clean the kitchen. It's to become the kind of person who keeps a clean house.
That is powerful because it reframes the whole effort. When something becomes a core part of your identity, the behavior stops feeling like a chore.
And starts feeling like alignment. Every time you show up for a run, you cast a vote for the person you want to be a runner.
Right. So every action you take reinforces that desired identity. Every time you study a complex topic, you're cementing the identity of a knowledgeable person.
Correct. And that reinforcement creates this positive feedback loop. Your identity drives your actions, and in turn, your actions shape your identity.
So once we decide who we want to be, how do we actually wire that new identity into our brain so it becomes automatic? That's where the mechanics of the habit loop come in.
Habits are simply automatic solutions the brain finds for problems it's encountered frequently. It lets us solve them with minimum effort. And this process is driven by a continuous feedback loop that we need to learn to manipulate.
The cue, the craving, the response, and the reward.
That's the one.
Okay, let's quickly define those. The cue is the trigger, right? It signals the brain to start a routine.
And the craving is the motivational force. It's the anticipation of a change in state. The response is the action itself. And the reward satisfies that craving, reinforcing the whole behavior for the future.
Think about a common negative loop. You get a notification sound. That's the cue.
You crave novelty or connection, the craving. You pick up your phone and scroll the response. And you feel satisfied even just for a moment by that novelty. That's the reward.
So to break that cycle or to build a new one, we use the 4 laws of behavior change, starting with law 1. Make it obvious.
Which sounds simple, but truly the first step to any change is becoming deeply aware of your current habits. Most of our day is spent on autopilot.
So how do we stop that?
We use something called the habit scorecard. We recommend you literally write down every single behavior you perform from the moment you wake up until you go to sleep.
Wow, everything.
Everything. Then you label each action, positive plus negative or neutral, judging it purely by whether it helps you become the person you aspire to be. The goal isn't judgment, it's just observation.
Making the unconscious conscious.
You got it. This process often reveals all these micro decisions we make automatically, like reaching for the remote before you even make breakfast.
And once you've identified the habits, you have to fight vagueness. I will eat healthier is, well, it's meaningless.
Totally. We need clarity using the implementation intention formula. I will behavior at time in this location.
Specificity is your greatest tool. For example, I will meditate for 10 minutes at 7 a.m. in the living room. That specific time and location act as powerful triggers.
And we can leverage routines we already have through habit stacking. This ties a new habit to something you already do automatically. After current habit, I will new habit.
The established habit becomes the cue for the new one, so you could stack them. After I pour my morning coffee, I will stretch for 5 minutes, and then I will review my 3 most important tasks for the day.
And this leads to a really critical insight. Motivation is highly overrated. Behavior is shaped far more by the environment. It is the invisible hand guiding your choices.
So if you want to encourage a good habit, make the cue visible and obvious. If you want to remember your vitamins, put the bottle right next to your coffee maker.
And a great way to design your space is the one space, one use mantra. If your desk is only for deep work, don't use it for watching TV or browsing social media. Creating separate zones strengthens that association.
And if you want to eliminate a bad habit,
the long-term solution is not willpower. It's making the cue invisible. If snacking is a problem, get the junk food out of the pantry. If your phone is a distraction, leave it in another room. Increase the distance.
Okay, let's move to law 2. Make it attractive. Because if a habit isn't attractive, we just won't repeat it. When we anticipate a reward, we're driven to act.
And this is where the science of dopamine is so key. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's the primary driver of motivation, memory, and learning. And crucially, the spike occurs not when we get the pleasure, but when we anticipate it.
The source material drives this home by pointing out that a gambling addict's dopamine level spikes before they place the bet, not after they win.
Right. It's the excitement of that potential reward that is the craving. And modern vices, especially social media algorithms, are meticulously engineered to constantly promise that huge dopamine surge, making them intensely habit-forming.
So we can use that knowledge to our advantage with a tool called temptation bundling.
Yes, you make a needed habit attractive by combining it with a wanted habit. This relies on what's called Premack's principle, using high-frequency desired behaviors to reinforce low-frequency needed behaviors.
So you bundle listening to your favorite true crime podcast, something you want to do with cleaning the house, something you need to do. Suddenly, the chore is the gateway to the reward.
And don't underestimate social influence either. We are hardwired to seek acceptance. If you want a habit to stick, join a culture where that habit is the default behavior.
So if you want to become a reader, join a book club.
Or a writer's group. That desire for social belonging and peer approval is a huge force multiplier for sticking to your habits.
It's also fascinating to look beneath our surface cravings. When we check Instagram, that's just the surface behavior. What we're really responding to are these ancient, primal motivators.
Like connecting with others, achieving status, reducing uncertainty.
Right. Online platforms don't invent new desires. They just package ancient desires, like the need for social proof, into an easy-to-access digital form.
So if we want to build a better habit, we should try to tie it directly to one of those underlying motives.
To make hard habits attractive, you have to actively reprogram your brain's association with them. So instead of focusing on the pain of the activity,
Focus on the immediate positive identity reinforcement. Reframing is vital here. Don't think, I have to save money, which feels like sacrifice. Think, I am building future financial freedom, which feels like power.
or don't think of cleaning as wasted time, but as creating peace of mind.
And to break a bad habit, you do the opposite. You highlight the long-term cost and make the behavior deeply unattractive.
Now for the final two laws, which relate to the action and that feeling of success. Law 3. Make it easy. When we talk about forming a habit, the source material argues we should focus on the number of repetitions, not the time spent.
Right. Repetition is what anchors the habit into your neural pathways. And repetition requires the least amount of effort possible, which brings us to the law of least effort.
We naturally gravitate toward habits that require the least energy.
Totally. If your healthy lunch ingredients are prepared and accessible, and the fast food drive-thru is 10 minutes out of your way, you are far more likely to make the healthy choice. Reduce friction by making good habits convenient.
This is where priming your environment comes in again. You're not just setting yourself up for success, you're reducing friction for your future self. Lay out your work clothes the night before, preload your coffee machine.
And the most essential tool for Law 3 is the 2-minute rule. The goal here isn't to achieve the outcome, but just to establish the routine itself. You scale down any habit to a version that takes 2 minutes or less.
So running a marathon becomes just putting on your running shoes.
Exactly. Reading a chapter becomes reading one paragraph. The key is just showing up. Once the routine is anchored, the shoes are on, the book is open, the momentum makes the rest of the action much, much easier to complete.
And to make bad habits difficult, you have to increase friction dramatically. You can't rely on willpower.
Nope. If you waste time on video games, unplug the console and put the controllers in a cabinet that takes 2 minutes to access. Make the bad habit impractical to perform on impulse.
Okay, finally, Law 4.